Here's my detector bot. I've got two hobby generators right here. We've got the left front, this would be the left front wheel and the right front wheel. I've got a 9-volt battery, got an Arduino. I've got an L293D switch, and then an IR sensor and a temp sensor. If I zoom in right here, um, not very complicated here, but I'll go straight to the code just to show what pins I used. So for the right motor, I used pin 13, left motor, pin 11, just for the ground and the power, right motor, 12, left motor 10. I use an analog pin for the temp sensor and for the infrared pin, which I didn't know too much about, but I had to look up a little bit. I got that working relatively well with this remote. Um, yeah, so I'll go through the simulation real quick just to show what it actually does. Um, that start simulation. So essentially, what's going to be happening is we're going to start as the temperature increases. I'm going to have it up in the serial monitor here. These are some signals that you'd be getting, but these signals would essentially be going to the user's phone. Some of them would be going to the user's phone. Some of them would be more internal, but I couldn't show all of that on here, so I just tried to show as much as I could. Yeah, let me start that now. So starting simulation. That's all for the IR. This is just no abnormal temp. So this is standard. Robot's not even on. It's at its docking station, just sitting there. As temp starts to increase. So as we get to right above 80, that's a possible fire condition. What's going to happen is the motors are going to start and it's going to start moving. It's going to start patrolling. It is all autonomous. So I did not program in every type of like movement it would be able to do, because essentially it would be a lot like the Roomba, where it would just map whatever location it's in, and then that's what it would go off. So right now it's just patrolling. Let's see, it gets a little bit hotter. It finds a temperature a little bit higher than that. Now it's got a slightly different indication because it thinks that it's located a fire or a possible fire, possible firing condition. So now it's basically spinning. So if you can see in the motors, is what it's doing is it's just kind of patrolling around the room. So it'll stop. One of the motors will stop. The other one will keep going, and it'll just patrol around the room just to see what it sees. Once it finds a hotter condition. So for me, just so I could show that on here, it'll stop. It'll monitor the fire. It'll send a warning to the user, just so the user knows. If that isn't verified uh, in a relatively short amount of time. So on here, I think it probably like 20 seconds. It would be a little bit longer for the actual thing, but not that long, because obviously if there's a fire, it needs to know, and it's going to let the user know, and then it's going to let the fire department know not long after that. It will have built-in features to help it determine whether or not it's actually a fire before it is alerting a fire department, because obviously just heat isn't enough to go on. If it's just steam, something like that, you might not be able to tell. The robot will also have the ability to check smoke. So if there is smoke from a fire, it'll be able to observe that. I wasn't really sure how to demonstrate that on here, so I just went with these things for now. That's about it. The only other functionality I guess it would have that wasn't really shown on here was that it can integrate with the smoke detector. So I tried to do that with the IR remote as best I could, just with one of the buttons. So what would happen is I press this button here, and the robot will essentially, like, let's say the user checked it, verified there's not a fire. What it'll do is I'll click this button, and it'll essentially just send the robot back to its dock. And I tried to do that as best I could with these motors. So they're just going to basically reverse, and it's going to go back. So now they're in the reverse direction. And this was just me simulating the robot returning to its docking station. And then after about 10 seconds or however long it would take it to actually get there, it's going to stop.